Good morning, Elmira Baptist Church. I'm glad you've joined me for our weekly update. Today is Thursday, July 8th, 2021. God has been so good to us, and I have just been rejoicing and enjoying His goodness. A lot of things happening with the building, with the summer, with my family, with church, but I'm grateful to know that God's grace is sufficient for all things. Let me give you this quote today, and we'll come back to it when we get to the devotional part. This is Antonin Scalia, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court for some decades. He's since passed away. He said this: God assumed from the beginning that the wise of the world would view Christians as fools, and He has not been disappointed. If I have brought any message today, it is this: have the courage to have your wisdom regarded as stupidity. Be fools for Christ, and have the courage to suffer the contempt of the sophisticated world. We'll come back to that. It is amazing to see God at work in this building project. They've gotten to the point of sheeting the roof and the sides that there's almost no light in there anymore. I was joking around with them. They now need to bring in work lights so that they can work on the interior of the building. So they're getting pretty close to the place where the building will be all closed in by wood, and then of course get that roof on it. And I talked to Kenny, our call him construction supervisor, this week, and there's a little detour we have to make before we can work on finishing the outside of the building, putting some siding on. So I'll be explaining more about that at our business meeting this Sunday evening. Work is still on progress. All stuff that has to be done, we knew it was going to need to be done. Just a little bit different sequence than I was anticipating. I hope you'll continue to pray with us that we can continue this work. And, well, there's good news. So join us for the business meeting if you're a member of Elmira Baptist Church. And if you're not, and you can give something to this work, remember you can go online to donate, elmirafamily.com/donate. Last Sunday, we celebrated the liberty that we have in America, but even more importantly, the liberty that we have in Jesus Christ. After that message, we went outside, inside and outside, for a time of food and fellowship, and it was so good to be with one another. We've done a couple of food and fellowships now in 2021. This one finally felt back to normal, maybe because we spread everyone's meals out and went through buffet style. Wonderful time, good time of fellowship. Many of us were able to sit outside. The overhang on that roof comes out. There's a couple of posts, columns there, and gave us just gorgeous shade. Wonderful day to be outside. We even took a picture of the church and our new building, and you can find that online on our website and on our Facebook page. And then we concluded with a time of praise and testimony. And again, just so blessed to hear how God is at work in your life. Now, this coming Sunday morning, we've got a crucial message that we'll be looking at. Who is Jesus? You can read Mark chapter 8 to prepare for the message. And I hope that you'll join us. Now, even if you know who Jesus is, consider inviting someone who maybe is confused about who Jesus is, who doesn't really quite know who Jesus is, because we're going to be talking about that Sunday morning as we continue our series through Mark. In the evening, we're going to continue our series on the Elmira heartbeat. Every church has slightly different emphases, slightly different focus, and where is our focus going to be? This Sunday evening, we'll be finishing up that series talking about transparency and trust, kindness and candor. You can read Colossians chapter 3 to prepare for that. Now, if you've missed previous messages on the Elmira heartbeat, you can find our messages grouped by sermon series on sermon audio. So if you go to sermon audio, find Elmira Baptist Church. Just type in Elmira Baptist CA for California. It'll take you right to our site there on Sermon Audio, and you can find that sermon series, The Elmira Heartbeat, and listen to or watch previous sermons on the Elmira Heartbeat. And we will continue the live stream this week. So if you need to watch virtually, if you you need to join us virtually, I do understand. But if you can come, I guarantee you'll be blessed by joining us in person. A couple of announcements. This Saturday, we have a men's work day. It's supposed to be well over 100 degrees during the heat of the day. So we're going to get started at 6:30. Some of you are thinking, 6:30? Man, I'm still sleeping on Saturday at 6:30. I get it. That may be your one day to sleep in. We've got to get this done. So feel free to sleep in. Well, maybe not sleep in for you, but for me, it'd be sleeping in. Show up maybe at 8:30 or even 9 o'clock. There'll still be plenty of work to do, and we can use your help. Hoping to be done by noon, maybe 12:30. It's going to be blazing hot by then as we try to get some paint on the eaves and on the fascia boards. So dress in your paint clothes, the type of things you can wear and get some paint on. Next week is going to be my final week of podcasts, the Elmira and You podcast for the month of July. And next week will be my final weekly update for the month of July because I have some family time coming up. We have a reunion in which I'll be getting together with my parents and my brothers here in California. And then the following week, my daughter gets married in Oregon, which obviously is some distance from here. And yes, we scheduled my daughter's wedding in light of the family reunion since folks are already coming to the West Coast for that reunion, then going on up for the wedding. So because of that, I'm going to be in and out, and I'm not going to be able to continue the podcast or the weekly updates those last 2 weeks of July. But you'll find me in August again, Lord willing, with podcasts and our weekly update. Now, I did not give this homework out last night, but if you're paying attention, you know that each Wednesday night we had a verse to meditate on and a question that we will address in next week's lesson. So the verse to meditate on this week is Ephesians 5:18. We chose Ephesians 6:18, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. We memorized and meditated on that verse a couple weeks ago. This one is Ephesians 5:18. Be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. Memorize that verse. Meditate on that verse. Or write that verse down on a card and continue to read it throughout the week. Get that verse stuck in your head. And then notice in verses 19, 20, and 21, we follow up with what being filled with the Spirit looks like. So the question to answer and be prepared to answer next Wednesday is, what evidence for being filled with the Spirit does Ephesians 5:19 through 21 lay out for us? For our devotional today, let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 26 through 31. And I mentioned to you we'd come back to Justice Scalia's quote. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26 says this: For ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And base things of the world, and things which are despised hath God chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Skip down to verse 31. Here's the goal. According as it is written, he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. God has specifically picked out, not the high and mighty, not the wise and respected. He has intentionally picked out the lowly, the folks at the bottom of the ladder, so to speak. And he's done that to confound the high and mighty and to show his wisdom, and so that God gets the glory. I'm so glad for that. I've never really felt like I'm the smartest guy in the room. That's not the way God made me. I've never been the most athletic or the strongest or the fastest. That's not who God has chosen. So sometimes you may feel like, boy, I'm just here at the bottom of the totem pole. Nobody respects me. They think my ideas are crazy. They think that that what I call wisdom, they think that's foolishness. But what they call wisdom, I see as foolishness. Guess what? That is the natural condition for the Christian. Let me read to you again from this verse here, from the Bible. Ye see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men, not many mighty, not many noble, but God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and the base things of the world, and the things which are despised hath God chosen. Yea, and the things which are not. That's what God has chosen. So again, our Justice here, Justice Scalia, sort of sums it up when he says, have the courage to have your wisdom regarded as stupidity. Be fools for Christ. And have the courage to suffer the contempt of the sophisticated world. So when it comes to marriage, be a fool for Christ. Don't listen to the wisdom of the world. When it comes to abortion, be a fool for Christ. Don't listen to the wisdom of the world. Stand for life, especially for the life of the unborn that can't speak for themselves. When it comes to church membership, be a fool for Christ. Be committed to Christ's bride. When it comes to giving your funds to God's work, again, be a fool for Christ. Don't listen to the wisdom of the world. You are laying up treasures in heaven. When it comes to raising your children, be a fool for Christ. Don't listen to the wisdom of the world. Don't raise your children to go to Stanford and Harvard. Although if God calls them there, that's fine. Raise your children to serve God. When it comes to what you invest your life in, be a fool for Christ. Don't listen to the wisdom of the world. The life's goal is not to be retired and travel the country, take cruises. Although, again, nothing wrong with those things. Our life's goal is to get to the end of our life and hear, well done, good and faithful servant. Don't be embarrassed to be thought a fool for Christ's sake. That is exactly where God wants you to be. We'll meet this Sunday, 9:45 for Sunday school, 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We'll be live streaming those services, so join us virtually, or even better yet, join us in person. And then I will see you there.